Am I the jerk for denying my ex the chance to be a father after he abandoned me and our baby and now insists on re-entering our son's life 16 years later? Original post January 19th, 2025 throwaway. So get your this is fake because new account comments out early. I 32 female had a baby boy when I was 16. Yes, I know how that sounds. No, we weren't careful. Judge me all you want on that front. I've dealt with that for years. Lol. 33 male was my boyfriend then, and when I found out about my pregnancy, he did a disappearing act with help from his family. Something future college star. Something my parents were always blunt. What happened next was my choice after a lot of thinking and deciding abortion just wasn't for me. I respect that right. I'm not here to debate it. It was just not for me. I chose to give up the baby for adoption. My parents knew a super sweet couple that were looking to adopt. We met, and I just knew they were the right people. This turned from a teen mistake to an almost surrogacy. I started homeschooling to finish my education and to have a rest. The adoptive parents were with me for everything and even paid for most of the medical costs. The adoptive mother was a teacher, so she helped me with my schoolwork, and to prepare for college they were present for the birth, and I refused to hold the baby. Instead, his actual mother did, and it was just right. I've stayed in the baby's life in a distant position as a special aunt while he's no longer a baby, and he knows who I am, but his mom is the same woman that raised him, and I can continue to be his special aunt. The only change is now he knows who to call if he needs a kidney. His sense of humor is like mine. Go figure. We talk maybe once in a blue moon, which in all honesty is the best. He's happy, and I don't regret giving him up to have a happy life. For my part, one married 6 years ago. My husband Ivan, 44 male, was divorced in good terms with Nora, 40 male. They have 2 children together, a boy that is 16 and a girl that is 19. Ivan made it clear since we began dating that his kids' approval was important and that Nora was part of his life forever, not as a spouse, but as a friend and mother to his children. I also told Nora and him about my teen pregnancy. Well, to begin with the kids, my stepdaughter and I get along well. She's obviously closer to her mother, but she still does girls' days with me every so often. It's more like friends though. My stepson is incredibly close to me. He calls me his other mom and always asks me to be present for important events. We bonded when his childhood dog passed away, as my cat died about the same time. Nora and I were best friends. I know people have complicated relationships with their partner's exes, but we always show respect to each other. I never try to take her place. I know Ivan and her shared something special long before I was in the picture. That's their history. And I am a stepmom, not a mom. Her place in the kid's life is not up for competition. The reason for this background is that the whole mess with Lyle started when I took my stepson to a medical appointment. It wasn't serious though. He did have to use anesthesia. Ivan and Nora both couldn't get the day off. They tried, but their jobs are on call and they cannot easily take time off. So I went on my own to be my stepson's support. I didn't recognize Lyle as one of the doctors. His real name, both first and last name, are incredibly common. And it has been years. Not to mention my priority was being my stepson's support, and everything else was secondary. After my stepson was done, he was a bit out of it. As expected, I was setting him up in the car and making sure he was comfortable. When Lyle came over, he told me he had been thinking about me and Arzon for so long, and he was glad our boy was okay. It really took me a few minutes for my brain to click on what was going on, and he kept on rambling about apologies and how he wasn't ready to be a father, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, I just sighed and loudly said, "This is not the baby I was pregnant with. I gave him up for adoption after I gave birth. I am a stepmother." My loopy stepson chimed in with, "Other mom." I had to hold back a smirk. To be honest, Lyle was stunned by that, and it gave me time to catch him up on the important details. I gave up the baby. He knows what happened and why I gave him up. I married a man with 2 children. I am happy and don't want him in my life. And no, I won't give him contact information for the adoptive family. He is 16 years too late. That was the end of it. And I got into my car to get my stepson home to rest. Since then, Lyle found me on social media and has been painting this sob story about me denying him a chance to be a father, how I was a poor mother that threw away her child to raise someone else's children. I'm basically the she-devil. Apparently most of our former classmates that saw the post reminded him that he left me. Some of his HS friends even pointed out he laughed about leaving me pregnant. I didn't know that part. A few of his relatives have reached out to bash me about taking Lyle's chance to be a father, that it made me a poor Christian. I'm not. I'm Jewish to begin with. A few friends did tell me it was a move to give the baby up without telling Lyle. I don't personally think I was in the wrong, but in case I decided to leave the judgment to the internet masses. So Reddit, am I the clearing something out? The adoptive parents and bio child have a phone number to contact Lal's parents if they want. I have no say if they do or not. I just won't give Lal any information on them. Some of Op's comments commenter, not the asshole high therapist here, seems like it was the right decision for everyone involved, especially Lal, who clearly shouldn't be anywhere near children given his full lack of impulse control and empathy. As a fellow Jewish lady, I recommend laughing at the poor Christian comments. Oh, my mom loves them. I'm in a mixed household with dad being Jewish and mom being Catholic. My mom laughs every time I get a new one. The hardest commenter. I mean, they can be really funny depending on who's saying it. Also, who are these friends calling you? They don't sound like friends. Oop, they are more conservative friends. I say friend loosely. We're in the same groups. Commenter, these people are psycho. Block your bio. Kid might decide for himself to try and find his biod dad one day, but it's your job to defend his privacy until then and make sure his decision is informed. He knows that his biod dad is a complete ass. Op, I told him everything when his parents decided it was time to tell him who I was. Really, I didn't make Lal into a villain, just said he left after I told him I was pregnant and never reached out. He's been clear that while I am his biological mother and Lyle is his biological father, he doesn't see either of us as parents. I am his aunt and Lyle is a stranger. Commenter, also, I'm not judging you for the age gap, but I'm definitely judging Lal. Tell him if he and his friends don't leave you alone that you'll report him to the medical board. Also, maybe ask your son if he wants Lal's contact info, but warn the parents he's bad news. It's your birthday song choice, not yours. Editor's note. This commenter thought Lal was 33 when Oop was 16. He was 17, and Oop clarified that later. Oh, he's had Lal's info for years, mainly via Lal's parents. I think he called them once, and Lal wasn't around or something. I got the story secondhand, so I don't know the details. Funny comment about anesthesia. Apparently, I sang opera really badly when my wisdom teeth were removed. My stepson and I had a debate about why our dog should go to school in his place. Commenter, consult a lawyer about him talking shit about you online. Medical board. Op, in consideration, it hasn't damaged my character per se considering he's being called out publicly, but him approaching the hospital was weird. We're right now way too busy with another surgery on the schedule, so legal stuff is on the back burner, and we are going to a different hospital. Commenter, warn the adoptive parents about the situation. They have a right to know and can protect the child. Oh, already done. They do live in another state, so that gives them space. Commenter, one thing, knowing nothing about how this works, I assume you were able to get Lyle's parental rights terminated given that he left. If not, I wonder if it makes sense to give the adoptive family a heads up that he's coming out of the woodwork. Oop, this was a tough situation because he wasn't around and no one in his family willingly gave a DNA sample to establish parenthood. The judge that did the adoption could have demanded it, but she decided for the good of the baby and myself to just terminate both of our rights. And then the bee was adopted. I was basically deemed unfit, and the father was not able to be contacted, and the court did try really hard to get him to another commenter. It wasn't done with his consent. He was MIA when the adoption process began. We tried to reach out, and his family didn't even hold a conversation. The judge involved tried to have the courts contact him, and he didn't respond either. Eventually, the abandonment time frame was hit, and his rights were terminated for abandonment. Mine were willingly terminated since I presented myself as an unfit mother. One more commenter, this was a pain to do. It mainly fell down on abandonment. We had to prove we tried to contact the father. The court had to try to contact the father, and we had to wait for a set time requirement. I just had the right judge that understood I wasn't prepared to be a mother and decided to set things appropriately. Their relationship, oh, I don't mind it at all. I wanted him to never see me as his mom. I wanted him to love his family. I'm happy beyond the reasons that his life is great because I'm not in it beyond a call here and there. He's an amazing young man, and it's because he has amazing parents. I do get moments of pain here and there, and then I remember this kid had the best possible life. I wasn't good for him, and he wasn't good for me. It's a sad reality. I don't regret it, and I'm glad I was able to bring him for his parents to have him in their lives. Lyle was one of the doctors for your stepson's surgery. He wasn't one of our doctors, just a doctor in the hospital. I spent like 2 hours in the waiting room, so I suspect he recognized me. His name was on a plaque with all the doctors' names, and I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I should have. I was just stressed and not really thinking. Commenter, I'm sorry. I reread this 3 times. Looking for the part where you said you and your family moved away and changed all your identities. Nope, I don't see that anywhere. So this college star and his scumbag family knew exactly where you were and how to find you for the last 16 years, and yet you're the monster who denied him a chance to get to know his son and be the dad he was destined to be. Oh, that's just rich. What a bunch of complete asswipes. Don't let him or his douchebag family anywhere near your son, or his adoptive parents. Oop, I didn't even go out of state for college, went to the local university in town, and this isn't a massive city either. Update post February 5th, 2025, 17 days later. This is probably the one and only update I'll be doing because, to be honest, I got other things to do, and I have my main Reddit account for lurking I'm going to start with. The important matter: a lot of people were worried about my biological kid and what he wished for when it came to Lyle. Well, I got his permission to post this. He spoke to Lyle once a few days after I told him where he could find Lyle. I won't share all the details, only the final decision. There won't be any more contact between them. The kid doesn't want a second dad, and Lyle wasn't willing to be in his life unless he had the position of dad, so he's going no contact with Lyle. There was more to it, but it's very personal, and I feel it's not my place to share it. The kid and I will continue to have a relationship as aunt and nephew, and he knows whatever he needs medically. I'll always be first in line to give blood, kidney, etc. For those wondering why Lyle is so big into contact with the kid, I found out a few details via his friends. Lyle can have more kids, he just hasn't had a stable relationship in years, which I can believe since I finally had enough and decided to accept going to have coffee with him to get some things squared away. My husband came, of course, but he sat at another table to let me deal with it. I asked him to. The conversation was a show, to be honest. Lyle brought me flowers and chocolate-covered strawberries, my old favorites. He treated it all like some date. I nipped that, but immediately I introduced my husband and told him we were very much in love. Happy, so I don't appreciate any attempts at unwanted romance. Once we sat down, he started by telling me what I knew about him, having failed relationships, that he felt no woman could meet his standards for a wife and mother to his children since he already saw me as that. He claims he feels guilty for choosing college over me and our baby. He was well aware of the court dates regarding custody and that I was trying to put the baby up for adoption. When he saw me taking care of my stepson, he thought I had chickened out of giving the baby away. Seeing me be all caring for our baby boy made him think how great it would be if the three of us could be a family and maybe have a bigger family down the road. He had the gall to ask me if I would consider divorcing my husband and try to fight for custody of our son. I have to admit I laughed at his face. I probably was overly cruel, but had years of stress, heartache, and judgmental encounters to drop on him. I told him all I saw in him was a coward that instead of staying to make adult decisions decided to run with help of mommy and daddy, that any love I had for him died the day I had to push out a full human being, and instead of knowing I had support from him, there was a big empty spot where the dad was supposed to be. That I almost ruined my life and had to throw away prom senior pictures and even graduation because I was far too pregnant to party, appear in the yearbook, or walk on a stage to get my diploma. He got to party and enjoy life, while I had to fight tooth and nail for an inch of respect. Yet we both had unprotected sex. The only difference is his duck wasn't big enough to pop a baby out or satisfy a woman to begin with. That was a bit mean, but not sorry. After I calmed down, I simply told him I had a happy life with a man that loves me. Great step kids are the greatest gift. A best friend who lets me be a stepmom to her children, a nephew who I adore and who, despite our history, is biological mother and child. He still loves me as his special aunt rather than hates me. My family is perfect because he's not part of it, and I have no intentions to live in his fantasy, and that I can't wait to get pregnant with my husband's child to add to that perfection. I also told him to leave our biological kid alone. He has made his choice, and it is up to him if he ever reaches out for Lyle, and also let him know I would be making a formal complaint to his hospital for his harassment. Good thing my husband took screenshots, because by the time we got home, Lyle had deleted all the posts. A lot of his former friends did repost screenshots making fun of him. The silver line in all of this is that I have reconnected with my high school classmates, and to be honest, they are great people. Seems Lyle is in a handful that stayed in his school hype's mindset. It's been about 3 days and no signs of Lyle. My husband did get the biggest ego boost when he overheard me going off on Lyle, and has been insufferable in a good way, so there's mostly good news. Hopefully one of these days we'll get even more good news, since we actually are excited at the idea of having a baby together. Some of Op's comments commenter regarding him asking you to divorce your husband and fight together for our son. Outside of getting physical, there's practically no overreaction to that. Oop, I almost got physical, to be honest, but I had my nails just done. He wasn't worth breaking a nail. Commenter: very few things are worth breaking a nail, but Han breaking one to hurt that bastard would have been one of those things. Op: yeah, but he's not worth the 150 bill. He wasn't even worth The $14 bill at the Cafe Opie explains it was an anniversary gift from my stepdaughter. Normally, my nails are like 40, maybe XD commenter. Of course, he didn't pick up the check. Oh, Pio, we left before, and I paid my part, and my husband's don't know if he paid his commenter. Did he at least leave those strawberries for your husband to feed to while you recline in bed? Oh nah, we left them on the table for him with the flour my husband bought me. My current favorite macadamia is covered in chocolate. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.